Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page where I do this daily live stream, or nearly every day live stream, based on the card draw that I do in the morning with either divination cards or oracle cards. And basically the intention is to show us what's the most important energy that's flowing today for us to know about for our highest good. It also sparks a really fun and spiritual conversation between me and those in the chat. Yeah. So, welcome. Today is Saturday. Yay, Saturday. Saturday, March 9th. March 9th. Mm-hmm. Yep. I know it's the 9th because I'm about up to here with Star Nations magazine stuff, up to my eyebrows. We're so very close to being prepared to publish tomorrow. So before we get rolling, I'm going to share and like the broadcast, the live stream, and I would invite you to do the same. Even if you just share it to one friend, that's really good. Share it to your own newsfeed. That's even better. Or share it to a group maybe that you're a part of. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to send it over first to my newsfeed, and just so that my friends know that I'm live streaming, and to please join me. There we go. And we're going to get that posted. And we're also going to share it over to the two groups that we have for Star Nations. Well, we have more than two, but the two we usually send it to is the one for the radio network and also for the Academy. And just letting them know that I'm live streaming and to please join me. There we go. And radio network and the Academy. Good. That's done. Doesn't take that long, really. All right. And thank you for those that have shared and liked the live stream. I appreciate it. It's one of the things that we can do to be helpful, to be of service to someone else. This is the way I think of it is I remember when I first started seeking information about my spiritual journey, about my spiritual growth. And anything I could read, anything I could watch, I was doing, right? And these days, information, especially at Facebook, gets put out so fast and so quickly that a post could get buried within minutes. And so when we like and share something, it ends up in the newsfeed a little bit more often. And so we're really helping out those people who are maybe just being aware that they're a spiritual being and they're searching for information. And so we can help them out by finding Star Nations, right? So thank you for doing that for us. Let's see who's in the chat. And here's Rochelle. Hello, Rochelle. Good to have you here. Always. Julie is here too. Good to see you in the chat. And Rochelle saying hello to Julie. And Violet's here too. Hello, Violet. I'm so glad to see you in the chat. And thank you, Rochelle. She said she shared. I appreciate that. And so did Violet. Thank you so much. And so did Julie. Thank you, Julie. And hey, one of my sisters is in the house. Christine. Christine's here. Good to have you here. It's always good to have one of my sisters or all of them in the house. That's always fun too. Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. So I was starting to share with you that I missed you guys yesterday. When 2:00 rolled around yesterday afternoon, I was going, I could go upstairs and just do a really quick live stream with them. But we were right in the middle of, oh gosh, a lot of things, bookkeeping stuff. But I was also working on magazine stuff at the same time. And so, yeah, it probably wouldn't have been the best thing to do. And so I didn't, but I did miss you guys. And so I was looking forward to being with you this afternoon today. For some people, it's the evening because we have several people who join us from Ireland and Scotland and the UK. And occasionally we get a few people from South Africa and Australia. I'm trying to think, of course, Canada. A lot of people from Michigan. Yay, Michigan. A lot of people from Wisconsin. So, yeah, I missed you guys. I wanted to let you know because some people were asking me how things went with Mom's nursing appointment yesterday. We have a palliative nurse who comes about every other month or so to visit with Mom and check her out and do some those things that palliative nurses do. The appointment lasted 2 hours. It was an hour longer than I thought it was going to be. So it took up most of the morning. But Mom's doing pretty good. There wasn't anything, like shocking or surprising or anything like that. And it's nice that she can sit down and talk to the nurse about anything, really. And so that went pretty well. Pretty well. She has lost some weight again. She gained some back, and now she's lost it again. And so it's really, I guess, the priority right now is the pain management is always number one on the list. Always. That one stays there forever. But the next one is to stabilize her weight if we can. Yeah. The thing is that the challenge is the protein because Mom's not really she does eat animal protein. She does, but it's not her favorite, and she eats it very sparingly. And she's been this way forever. It's probably one of the reasons why she's anemic. And she's not a vegetarian. And so how do you get protein into the diet, right? And I've been working on this for 8 years. And so we're doing pretty good. And then all of a sudden, she's not taking in enough. So we're going to see what we can do about that. So that's the challenge. And that is the cliff notes to Mom's appointment yesterday. All right. So today's card is about cow. We haven't had this card yet. And I have to say, I do like Scottish Highland cattle. I do. I think their babies are so cute. This is who came to visit today. This is cow. Gaelic word is bow. Bow. Yeah. Yeah, the shagginess, right? The first time I saw a Highland cow was actually in northeastern Wisconsin, not too far from where we lived at the time. I had never seen them before, and we're driving along. I made Paul stop. I said, "Stop! What is that? What is that?" And it was one of these. It was a cow, and their babies were out in the field with them, and their babies are so flippin' cute. I don't know if it's because they're so shaggy or what. I don't know, but they're cute. Cow. So one of the things when I was looking at this morning and looking at in general about the cards, I'm looking at the sky, and there's some clouds. It looks a little maybe like some sort of weather front moving in, right? And then there's also there's the mountains in the background, and I know it's kind of hard to see because of the shagginess, but she's actually looking straight at us, both eyes. Right? Yeah. And we've got water in the background and some plants growing in the foreground. Notice how she has 3 of her feet on the ground and 1 is off. Right? So she has a connection into the spirit world, right? Into the ethers. as they say. Well, hello, Georgie. Georgie just showed up. As you can tell, I'm still broadcasting from the house, from the meditation room. And George just finally made it up to work. He's a little late. Running a little behind. Yeah. All right. So cow. Bow in Gaelic. And I was thinking about our connection to cow, right? And here in my state, in Wisconsin, we're known as the dairy state. The dairy state. We used to be number one in the production of all things dairy. So it wasn't all that surprising to have like ice cream and butter and sour cream and all of that in our refrigerator. A lot of cheese. Yeah. And what's funny is that half my brothers can have the milk, no problem at all. And then there's those of us in the family that have problems, a little lactose intolerant with the cow's milk. And so, eating it just enough, you learned how to, what is your limit? What's your limit? And so, and these days, gosh, I haven't drank cow's milk in, I don't know, probably a good 20, 25 years, something like that. I used to drink almond and I used to drink rice, although I do use cream in my coffee. I do use butter and I love cheese of all kinds. Yeah. And so, the cow does give us a lot in nutrition, and food provides quite a bit for us. Yeah. And I was thinking about how, like in some cultures, the cow is actually, very sacred, like in India, right? And that, they do highly respect the cow, where they walk in the streets and stuff, Hey, Georgie. He's such a good boy. He's leaving us. I don't know. Hopefully he'll be a good boy while he's out there by himself. And so the cow, it covers almost all of the different countries in the world. And I was thinking, it really does provide quite a bit for humans, doesn't it? Yeah. Hey, Michelle says, grounded. Yay. Good for you, Rochelle. And I'm glad you reminded me, asking that question, right? That asking who's grounded today. Yeah. On what was that? Thursday, that card draw on Thursday was pretty potent. I think it felt like big energy, right? And I had asked everybody in the live chat at the time if they would please ground, because we were taking that information and grounding it to Grandmother Earth in the vibration that we each individually hold, right? And I don't know. That's a good question about how did it go? How did it feel? What did you notice? Coming from that card draw and that information that we took and grounded to the earth plane. We worked as a team on Thursday is what I'm trying to say. So thank you for reminding me, Rochelle. I appreciate that. And just a gentle reminder, right, for all of us to be grounded. And if you haven't today, now would be a good time just to take a moment and do the grounding. And look who else is in the chat. Hey, Janet, good to have you here. Busy lady, always good to have you here. Yeah, I made it. I know. It's that, and weekends go by really, really fast, don't they? Like blinking and it's gone. And so for those who just joined us, this is who came this morning in the card draw. Cow. It's a Scotland Highland cow. Yeah. And I was saying their babies are so cute. We'll have to get a picture of one and post it. All right, so the author of the deck of cards that we're using, which is the Druid Animal Oracle cards, is by Stephanie and Philip Cargo, and they're illustrated by Bill Worthington. And so the information is coming out of the UK, and so it's from their perspective, right? And I have to tell you, I'm learning a lot from this deck. Words in Gaelic and some of the stories that go along with the cards, and seeing these kind of power animals or totems from another perspective, right? Yeah. All right. So here is what Philip has those words associated with cow: nourishment, motherhood, and the goddess. Nourishment, motherhood, and the goddess. Yeah, and like we do for almost all of the cards that we pull for this show, is just to take it in and see, sense, feel the energy from the card. What is the part of the card that draws you in? What is the first thing that you noticed on the card? First thing that caught your eye. Yeah. Mine was her face. And then I realized, hey, we got both eyes looking at us. Because usually the illustrator is only showing us one eye most of the time in the cards that we've had. Interesting, right? All right. All right. So this is what Philip has to say. He says the card shows a Highland cow placidly standing beside the peaceful waters of a Scottish loch. And a loch is a lake. In the foreground, we see cowberry, which is also known as cranberry, and cowslip, and to the right, milkwort, also known as field gentian. So I didn't know that the cranberry was also known as cowberry. I didn't know that. I'm trying to get my camera to focus. Come on, focus. There we go. Cranberry. Yeah. All right. Janice said the nose is the sign of infinity. Oh, yeah. Huh. It is. Very cool. Thank you for sharing that, Janet. And Rochelle says the horns and the red fur. Okay. The red fur. It's interesting. Julie saying the woolly fur and the face. Yeah. You know, as animals with horns go, I have to say that this one doesn't feel threatening, doesn't feel aggressive, right? Doesn't feel like you have to be on your guard. It's not like a bull. Thanks for sharing that, Julie. All right, so Philip says that Bo opens us to an awareness of the goddess. Her generosity, healing, and nourishing power is present all around you. In your friends and in your children, in your food and drink, in your dreams, and particularly in the natural world that you are blessed to live in. She brings protection from all harmful force influences. And attuning to her presence, you can gain the inestimable benefit of deep and peaceful sleep. Instead of counting sheep, we should be counting Highland cows. By opening yourself to Bo and to her sacred quality as a manifestation of the goddess on earth, you'll be connecting with the perpetual stream of nourishing energy that flows from the goddess to each one of us. To experience this, there's nothing you need to do to experience it. Is just to notice. You don't even have to notice it. It's a knowing. It's a knowing that the goddess, that spirit, is here to take care of us, right? That the goddess, has the that's a good word. That we are highly, highly regarded, us two-leggeds. That we're taken care of. Yeah. And there's nothing that we have to do. It's much like how nature, everything in nature, doesn't worry about their connection to the goddess or to God. It just is. It's only us two-leggeds that kind of put that complication onto things, right? Instead of having I was going to call it faith, but it's more than faith. It's more than faith. It's that inner knowing that we're always connected to the goddess or to God. Always. It's like the breath that you breathe. You don't think about it, you just do it. Yeah. But when we consciously turn our attention to it, to that feeling that we're connected, we always have been and we always will be, no matter if we're in a physical body or not. Right? And so I think that's what Philip means by, he says that there's nothing you need to do. Nothing. It's not about an act of doing something. It's about being and having the full knowing. The full knowing that we're always connected to the goddess, always connected to God. Yeah. I find that comforting, because there's nothing that you have to buy, nothing that you have to fit into your calendar. It's not one more thing that you have to do. It just is. It just is. And I can venture a guess is that most of us never even really even think about this piece, about how much we're connected. No matter what we do or not do, is that we're always connected to the goddess. Like I said, I find that comforting. Now that that we haven't discussed anything particular in the card in reverse, because the cards, all of the cards that we've received so far, have all been in the upright position. But I found that sharing the reverse information is helpful. It's helpful in understanding the full essence of the card. Okay, so here is what would be if the card had been reversed. It says, drawn in reverse, this card may be calling you to examine the ways in which you give to the world. Examining in the ways that you give to the world. Now, when I'm looking at all who's in the chat room, and knowing how much you guys are energy workers, light workers, right? That you're already giving so much. But maybe it's more about more about looking at how you give. Not that you give, because I know that you do, but how do you give? You know, um, do you have conditions? Because we're two-legged, we tend to do that. Add conditions to onto things that we do, that we give. You know, it's kind of like when you give a gift, right? When you give a gift and the person who's receiving it, you ask them, so how'd you like it? What'd you do with it? You know, how are you going to use it? We want the details. That's a condition. That's a condition. Even though it's probably our curiosity too, it also has to do with that control piece, right? Is what do you want? How do you want them to use? Is it basically is what you're telling them is I want to use you to use your gift in this way. So there's a condition to it. Yeah. Yeah. Or, sometimes, and I know this has happened to me, is I'm given a gift and it has more to do with the other person than it does to me because there's strings attached to it, you know. Um, and yet I've also received gifts where it was purely from the heart and they're just happy that I'm happy that I have it, right? Whatever it is that they gave me. Um, and so maybe if we just slow down just a little bit and do some self reflection, is like, okay, so how do I give? In what way? Not so much what do I give, but how do I give it? Yeah. I've shared this many, many times about 2017 being a very difficult year for me. And it was. One of the things that I learned out of all of that, because I did this kind of reflective work, it's like, um, yeah, giving something and not necessarily even being totally consciously aware of the strings attached to what I gave. And I did that more with my family members than I did with people who are not related to me. Yeah. Like even especially with my nieces and nephews, that if I give them X, Y, or Z, what I expected in return was respect. And that's not how you get respect. That's not how you receive love either. But I learned from that. And so when I do give a gift, it doesn't matter who it is, it's just I'm doing it from the very best that I can from my heart. And once I give it, I let it go. It's no longer has any attachment to me or to influence in one way or the other. I'm just happy that they have it. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe, just a little reflection about how do you give. And he goes on to say that if you believe your resources are limited, then you'll be anxious about giving fully from your heart. Yeah. I've experienced that early, when I was much younger and we were struggling to make ends meet kind of thing. We were always taken care of, always. We always had a place to live. We always had food on the table. We always had medical health insurance. We always had those basics taken care of. But many times it was check to check. In some of those beliefs around money, right? And he goes on to say that, but if you know that you are one with all of creation and all of nature, then you will be able to give fully and freely. And I know that to be true. Know that to be true. That when we have a belief that um, that everything is taken care of in divine timing, perfect time, right place, is that when you have the opportunity to give, that it's done freely and from your heart. And the vibration of that is so much higher and so much more joyful, joyful, um, than the reverse of that. He says that, but you can only give if you're also able to receive. You're able to give if you're also able to receive. So there, I think, is where Janet saw that sign of infinity on the nose. There's a lot there, isn't there? The sign of infinity right on the nose. It's a balance of giving and receiving. So if you can give from your heart or with your heart, you can receive the same way. The receiving, accepting whatever that is with a full heart, being grateful, being appreciative, being thankful, right? And meaning it from your heart. Yeah. Huh. Janet with the figure 8 there, the sign of infinity, the balance of giving and receiving. You know, and we've said this many times here about that balance, right, of giving and receiving. That many times light workers, energy workers, we tend to be out of balance with that we give much more than we're willing to receive. Yeah, I think that's shifting. It really is. But I want to say even 3 years ago, 5 years ago, most certainly 10 years ago, it was really out of balance. You know, is that you end up giving more than you're receiving. And when that eventually what happens to that is we start getting resentful. It's like, yeah, but I gave that. I'm kind of constantly giving, you know, and people are constantly taking. And so then eventually we kind of slide into a place of a lower vibrational place with that. Yeah. But when we're consciously aware of it, and when we're able to turn our attention to it and say, how do I want to give that? Why do I want to give it? Can I give it without any strings attached to it? Without condition? That is truly a gift. You know? We're consciously aware of our life then, right? Yeah. Yeah. And if the person can receive it in the same manner, now that's balance, right? That's balance. Is that the person that you're gifting or giving something to, and they're receiving it without hesitation, without limitation, without wondering, okay, well, when am I going to owe this person? That kind of stuff. And they're willing to receive it, and not be in the, oh no, you don't have to do that. You know, no, I'm fine. I'm good. You don't have to do that. It's everything. I'm good. I'm good. You know, rather than receiving and saying thank you and meaning it, right? Yeah. Rochelle is saying, I enjoy giving gifts to people, but I also like to receive gifts, even if it's a rock, especially if it's a rock, especially if it is, you know. Yeah, that's good. That's good, Rochelle. You know, and the other thing is that many women have this kind of out of balance too. Is that we do a lot of giving, a lot of doing for other people, and many times without being asked, right? We just step in and we do it. And yet we're also, many of us don't have a good way to be able to ask for help and to accept help. Yeah, I've had to work on that one. Yeah. Um, Sometimes I find myself, kind of slipping back into the old kind of way of being and saying, nope, I got it. I'm good. It's going to take me a lot longer to have to explain it and to ask for it than it is just to do it. um, yeah. And so I find myself reminding myself quite often, it's like, well, I could use some help with this. And then I turn to my spiritual team and say, okay, I'm learning. This is it. I'm asking for help. I need help with X, Y, or Z. And could you please send me? And then, the person or people that can do this, um, with that full intention, right? Yeah, but it takes conscious effort. It does. Janet says, I like rocks. I would say 99.9% of us in the chat would agree. We all like rocks. We all collect them. We have stones and crystals galore. Yeah. Actually, one time, a long time ago, I would say probably a good 15 years ago, I had really thought about opening up a store. I saw it in a meditation. It was called Stones Galore. Stones Galore was the name of it. And they showed me the storefront and all of that. That if I had the choice, and I did, if I chose to do that, this is what it could look like. And yeah, instead of opening up, I just bought them and I have them all over the house. Yeah. Oh, Rochelle is saying, I have all sizes of rocks through my house. My sons don't understand why I have rocks in the house. Rocks belong outside, they say. Yeah. Okay. So you have both rocks and crystals, Rochelle, or just indigenous rocks, just the raw rocks? I have both. I have both. Yeah. And some people use the rocks to be grounded. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you'll see children who pick up stones and they'll stick them in their pockets. I had a client that when I was working with her, she goes, I don't get it. She goes, I have to check his pockets every time I do laundry, because if I don't, stones are going to go through the washer, and we've had to replace a couple of things because of the damage that they can do. And so when I tuned into it, and he had rocks in his backpack, and he would offload them in his bedroom, and there was a lot of stones in there, and it's like, yeah, he's really working very hard on being grounded and being here, and so he and I were in his room. We were playing with his stones and making things with them. And so I was telling him that, maybe what you can do is make your collection into one that you can show, learn about them. What kind of stone is that, and teaching him how to ground himself, rather and having him clean out his own pockets. That was another thing. But I didn't see anything wrong with it. I didn't. He was doing exactly what he felt he needed to do. And Rochelle says, each rock is important. Have gemstones and crystals too. I've been collecting them since I was about 4 years old. Holy smokes. That's a lot. Julie says, I used to pick up stones. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. I come from a family of stone collectors. My parents had them. In fact, I have some of the stones that my parents had, because when they sold the family home and moved to a condo, they couldn't take all that stuff with them. And Dad had a hard time parting with some of the stones. And so he said, why don't you use these in your gardens? and I have some of them out there and I have some of them in the house. So Rochelle, maybe you're going to end up having to give them to your grandchildren, right? Passing them down generation, those stones. Well, let's get back to the cow. Here's the cow. All right. So one of the things I found very fascinating about the card and the information that Philip gives is that he talks about Bridget. And Bridget is a goddess of the Bridgetance tribe in North England and one of the most important goddesses in the Druid tradition. Became the most commonly worshipped female deity in Ireland, transforming herself in Christian times into Saint Bridget. Reared on the milk of the other world cow, she took the cow as her totem and was considered patroness of the cattle. Okay. He goes on to say that as they were sacred creatures vital to the human economy, 3 of the 4 Celtic fire festivals are related to them. Samhain on November 1st marked the time when the cattle were led down into the valleys and their winter quarters. And on the opposite side of the year, the Bealtaine, on May 1st, the summer began and the cattle were taken up into the higher pastures, having been first led between 2 Bealtaine fires to purify them and to invigorate them. So they had the bonfires, right? One on each side, and the cattle would run between the bonfires as they would take them to their summer pastures. Yeah. He says that the cow is sacred to the goddess, was in close touch with the other world. And here we go again with that other world, right? It says in Ireland, the first drops of milk were squirted on the ground as a gift to the fairies. And the use of milk as an offering is deeply entrenched in folk tradition. And I tell you what, when I was last time? No, was it the last time? No, it was the time before that I was in Ireland, west of the Shannon. They were still talking about doing that, especially near the fairy trees. People would go and leave offerings there, and many times it was they would pour milk, candy. There would be sometimes whiskey. Bright shiny things left for the fairy tree to the fairies. Yeah. And Amantha Murphy, a good friend of mine, she's a yes woman is what they're called in English. She's from Ireland. We met a few years ago, and she's taught through Star Nations, and I've interviewed her many times. But what she says is that she tells me stories about her grandmother, her granny, and how she and her granny would take milk and bread, out to the back field to leave for the fairies, milk and bread. And sometimes, with the sweets, a little jam or butter or something on the bread, and leave it for them. And so it was that, there it is. There's that energy exchange, right? The fairies were already helping them, already doing it for them. Spirit was helping them, and what they did was they gave in return something back to the fairies in gratitude and thank you. So there's that balance of giving and receiving. Of course, that's their tradition, right? That's their tradition. Yeah, and Rochelle says, they, meaning her grandchildren, already asked me about my pretty rocks. I said, when I die, you can have them all. They were excited. Even our dogs collect rocks. Even our dogs. 3 dogs ago, Sugar, she did. And when we moved, I had to pack up her rocks because every time I tried to move them out of the way, she would grab one and she'd put it into her bed. So, okay, I'm going to pack up your rocks. And I called it Sugar's Gold. And we were moving, and my brother picks it up, and he goes, "What do you got in here? Rocks? It's this heavy." I said, "Yeah, we have Sugar's rocks." All right. And then our next dog would have been Ginger, and she too collected rocks. And so when we moved here, I didn't even ask her. I just packed up her rocks and Ginger's rocks on the box. And now we have George, and he's doing the same thing. Actually, I've got a small collection of stones and rocks that he brings into the house. Yeah, and it's not good for their teeth when they're chewing on them. And so I take it from him, and I've started his collection. So even our dogs. All right. So we know that the cow is connected to the goddess, and it's all about nourishment. Nourishment in so many ways. It's not just, yes, it is food, but it's nourishment for our soul, for our spirit, for all four of our bodies: the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, and the physical. And it's no wonder why, when the first time we looked at the card, before knowing about the connection to the goddess and how we were talking about this being depicted on the card. Noticing her red fur, her shagginess, right? Softness. And I kept saying, oh, they have such cute babies. We have such cute babies. Yeah. And the fact that she's standing by a lake, and we all know about water, right? About the emotion. Represents emotions. And since it's a lake, it's got deepness to it. And so I keep hearing the phrase deeply loved, over and over and over again since we started talking about this, deeply loved. And so whether you call the divine by whatever name you recognize that as, that energy, whether you call it goddess or God or creator, whatever the name, the label that you have for it, is to know that we're always deeply loved. There's nothing that we have to do to have it. It's already there. We just have to turn our attention to it and be thankful for it, right? Yeah, there's nothing to do about it. It's just being with it, nurturing us, that we're deeply loved. So, and it nourishes us. So nice, right? Feels good. Now, I have to say that after I had pulled the card and I was looking at it, and I still had the deck sitting on my lap, right, when I was looking at the card. And I took I was going to put the cards away. And as I picked up the deck, literally these two slid right off the deck. I didn't shuffle. I was just putting the cards away. And these two showed up. Now remember that they're supporting the first card, supporting the connection to the goddess through the cow. And we've had these two before. The stag and the horse. Right? And the stag is going between two popples, two trees, it being a gateway from one world to the next. And the horse was about spirit. And actually, I think it was the mound that's behind him, if I remember right. The stag is the one that came up, that was on top. Okay, and so the horse is also connected to the goddess, the land, and travel. It says attuning to the spirit of the horse may help us to connect with our sense of place in the world, with the spirit of the land beneath us and the sky above us. Traveling from one world to the next, from one dimension to the next, from one vibration to the next, from one, the third dimension to the fourth dimension to the fifth dimension, right? Yeah. Mistake. So I think that the feeling I had with these cards, especially these last two, was really in support of the message coming from Cow to let us know that we're deeply loved, we're nourished by the goddess, that we're nourished by the goddess, that when we're in balance of giving and receiving, right, our travel from one dimension to the another is a little bit easier. And this drawing is really all about the goddess and her supporting us in our journey, in our movement. Yeah. It's a good one. I think that's why I keep hearing the phrase over and over and over again is you're deeply loved, deeply loved. Yeah, the sun does have a lot of energy. Lighting the path, right? Illumination, bright illumination. But when you see all three together, okay, let's see. So the cow has got both eyes looking directly at us, and both the stag and the horse, we only see one eye, and they're not looking directly at us. So the horse and the stag came to help support the information, the message coming from Cow about being connected to the goddess, the balance of giving and receiving, being deeply loved. That when we have that balance, our journey is so much easier, and it's so much joyful too. Yeah. I like it. I like it a lot. So what do you guys feel? What do you feel about it? I think the biggest question or piece, if you're looking for homework, and that is to really do some reflection of not so much how not what you give, but how you give it. How do you give your gifts? How do you receive them? I think that's the biggest piece, that if you want to look into something to have that meaning of that soul growth for yourself, is that to identify it, is to notice it, right? And once we notice it, then we can consciously make that change if we want to. That if you notice that when you're giving another person or another being something, and you have strings attached to it, or there's a sense of there's control issues in that, right? Yeah, because we're human, we're two-legged. It happens. And all I'm saying is that is to notice it, and if you do it more than a few times, then you might want to do something about that, right? And also the flip side of that is that if your receiving is not done gracefully, thankfully. Or, you're always going, oh, no, I'm okay. That's okay. You don't have to do that. Then you have to look at, how are you receiving? Those are big ones, big chunks in this one. But literally, in order to receive the love, the nourishment coming from the goddess that cow represents, there's absolutely nothing you have to do, because it's always there. Always there. Whether you're, we'll put it in the good or bad, negative, positive, you're always loved. Always loved. Unconditionally loved. Yeah, and supported. We got support going on there when Stag and Horse showed up. It's good stuff. We're at the top of the hour already. Yeah. Michelle says, I feel safety and protection. Yeah. What I was feeling was, okay, there was a sense of relief in there too. It's like, oh, that's good. I don't have anything else to do. I don't have to do anything. It's already there. But it was comforting to know. Yeah. Comforting. So if anything about this resonated with you, the information that was shared, that we were, the spiritual conversation that we had, if anything resonated with you, yay, I'm happy for you. And my suggestion is to embrace it and to sense, feel, see how the energy is unfolding around you today and where this information could be helpful. And also to notice, are you a direct participant in what's unfolding, or are you a witness? Because either way is really good. We're learning something in any case. Yeah. But if it didn't resonate with you, don't worry about it. No. You're not going to hurt anyone's feelings by not having it resonate with you. That's okay. There's always tomorrow's card, I always say. There's always tomorrow's information. And maybe you're a messenger. Maybe what you do is you're sharing the recorded show, the link with a friend, somebody who, likes this kind of conversation or has been searching for information similar to this or like this. And then you're done, right? I always go, it's like, all done. It's like the blackjack dealers, if you've ever been to a casino. So this week in Star Nations, we got some stuff going on for you. We really do. On the 10th, like tomorrow, the March issue of Star Nations magazine will be published tomorrow. Yay! Publishing day is always a happy day around here. It's a sense of accomplishment and happiness. It's because we're sharing the contributing writers their gifts with everybody, and so it's always a happy day. Literally happy dancing in the kitchen when it's published. And so that's tomorrow. And I'll be telling you a lot more about the magazine on Tuesday during my weekly show. Okay, so let's go to Tuesday. Tuesday morning at 9:00 in the morning Eastern time is From Star to Stone with Mervyn Kelly. Yes, he's going to be sharing about stories and songs and their importance in the ancient way, in the modern day. He is asking you to please bring your stories and your songs that you like, and we'll talk about them. So it'll be another conversation. All right, so that is at 9:00 a.m. Eastern time. Okay, and then at noon Eastern is chakra sessions with Polly Jo LeBay. That's at noon Eastern time. And Polly Jo has got some stuff going on in her show. It is her 2-year anniversary here at Star Nations. 2 years ago, on March 14th, she started her show, Chakra Sessions. And so she's going to be celebrating on Tuesday with you, and she's got some giveaways for you. So we're gonna practice that the giving and receiving on Tuesday during her show at noon. She's also going to be giving us some good information as well, but she's got some giveaways for us in celebration. All right. And then on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time is my weekly show, Communications from Home. And I'm going to be sharing with you about the March issue of the Star Nations magazine. You get the story behind the scenes stories with what was going on with the magazine and a little bit about each of the featured articles. Okay. All right. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday, we got a big week for you guys. Wednesday at 3 p.m., of course, is this show, the daily live stream, every day practically. Is we at 3 p.m. Eastern. And then at 4 p.m. Eastern is Nature Adventures. Now, Nature Adventures, we moved up a week because Minnie has got some stuff going on, and so she wanted to make sure that we got the live stream show in, so we moved it up a week. So you can join us for that. And we're talking about the fifth element. The fifth element. I gotta sneeze. They say it's not healthy to stop a sneeze. Okay, it's not going to happen. Watch is going to happen when I least expect it, right? All right, so Nature Adventures at 4 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to be sharing about the fifth element. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good discussion. And then at 7 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday is Soul Connections with Polly Jo LeBay. Now, that's an evening of healing and divine messages. 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Oh my gosh, it's a powerful evening. And then on Thursday is at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, the Ed Langdon, Life Wisdom with Ed Langdon. Life Wisdom with Ed Langdon. And Ed is going to be talking about how we create our life. Right? It's going to be lots about law of attraction. He's going to be doing some tapping to help us to release some of the old beliefs, releasing the past. Okay, it's going to be another. All right, lots of healing this week. And then he's also taking questions. Okay, he'll be tapping into his guides, into the Ascended Masters, and also into your guides, connecting. So if you have a question for Ed, you can ask the questions. We'll put the link in the comment section in this show, so you guys have it, that you can ask him a question ahead of time. And so he can start preparing for that answer and working on, so that way he can get more questions in. And I think he's going to take like 30 minutes or so, 20 minutes for the questions. So if you have a question for him, please contact him. He will take questions in the chat as well. Yeah, it's going to be a full week. Mm-hmm. Hope you guys can join us for any or all of it. But in any case, please enjoy the rest of your Saturday. It's a beautiful day out there. We're going to be getting more snow here this evening. So yay. More snow removal. All right. So enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern for the daily live stream and group card draw. Bama Mina. That means in Potawatomi, until we see each other again. Love you guys.